I'm so grateful to real estate because it put me on a path of personal development. And in fact, one of the questions is, what challenges and obstacles have I had? It's hard to even come up with a list anymore because I don't look at them that way. I look at them as true gifts, as like true gifts of a lifetime. All the challenges and obstacles I've faced in real estate have brought me to the place that I am now. And not only do I act this way in my business, but I act this way in my personal life. Like, I just want to show up as love and light and see what I can do to have fun and help people at the same time.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/065. So today we have and it's really successful wholesaler. She's also a licensed agent in our network, Laura Lennington, on the line. And Laura, she's just a beautiful human being. You know, when you meet somebody and you just kind of connect with them and you just feel better after they leave. Laura's described, using her own words, she's transformed into this person. She's transformed into a better version of herself after even being in some deep and dark places. And she's also had a lot of fear that she's had to overcome. So if you feel at all stuck or feel like, man, like what am I going to do? How am I going to do my first deal? Or how am I going to get to my 100th this year? I'm afraid I'm stuck. Like maybe I'm not good enough. If you're going through any of these type of headspaces, Laura has a beautiful outlook on this. She has some beautiful nuggets to share with us. And I personally got a lot out of it. I've been doing this a long time, and I've done a lot of deals, right? And I know you're going to get a lot out of it too. So I'm really excited to share this episode with you. And public service announcement before we get going. We have a lot of resources for you. If you're a wholesaler looking to do some deals, we'd love to buy your house, or we can even help you put together deals that you might think are dead. So make sure that you go to our website. If you are an agent looking to invest in real estate or grow your agent book of business, we help people that are at a $2 million price point double and triple their business. And we've done that for countless other people. And we can help you with that too. And also we can even unlock long-term wealth for you through investing in real estate. And then finally, if you need some cash to do some deals, we have over $20 million that we invest with here in St. Louis. Whether you need to do a BRRRR where you buy it with hard money and then you flip it out and then kind of get a conventional loan, or if you want to do a flip, we have cash available for you, and we can lend it out to you so you can do more deals. So anyway, enough about the public service announcements. Let's get going on this interview. It's a great one, guys. You're going to really enjoy it. All right. Today, guys, we have Laura on the line, Laura Lennington. She's an investor here in our area in St. Louis. And I'm pumped up. I'm pumped to have you. And thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I feel good energy right now, too. I'm excited that we're making this happen. So thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. So why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your background and how you got into real estate?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Okay. So I currently live in Edwardsville, Illinois. I'm from the Illinois side of the river, but, the St. Louis area. I was born and raised in Roxana, Illinois. But I mean, after I graduated high school, I did move around the country a bit. I was in the military. I was an Army person, and I traveled the world a little bit too. I've done a tour in Iraq, and I've since been back to Afghanistan as well. So anyway, I've been around, but right now I'm back home or near home in Edwardsville. And, I spent the majority of my working life up until about 7 years ago, just basically either being involved with the military or the Department of Defense, either as a soldier or a civilian. And in late 2012, 2013, I decided as a civilian to take a tour in Afghanistan because I was really like kind of over my desk job. I was just like so restless and bored with this desk job. And I thought, well, I've done this type of thing before. Let me go do this and get some excitement in my life. So I did. I went to Afghanistan for 9 months and had a lot of excitement in my life. I was super proud of the work I did there and the mission that I was on with the Defense Contract Management Agency. But it was just like, wow, like just no time off. Like, I'm not exaggerating, 9 months, seven days a week working. 6 of those days were 12-hour days. We got an 8-hour day on Sunday. I took 4 hours off one time for a migraine, out of that. So I was just exhausted. I was just so exhausted. And, there were a couple times when there were some booms and bangs around me and stuff like that. So I got home and I just immediately was bored again, in my cube or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was just like, so in order to feel alive, I have to work 7 days a week and dodge bullets. Or to get out of that environment, like I have to sit in a cubicle for 8 hours, which seems 3 times as long as my other workday did. And like go through this mundane sort of working life. And man, this was just wearing on me, right? I just felt like I wanted to do something different. And the good news, in addition to all the experience I got in Afghanistan, the good news was I had saved up some money. And so in 2014, I decided to leave my 9 to 5 and go ahead and do real estate full time, even though I had never done anything in it before. So I will say I had purchased one rental property. I paid retail price. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought it from a family member. I got, a loan from a bank and stuff. So I had done that, but I mean, I wasn't even doing it because I didn't even know what to do. But in any case, so I got into real estate full time and I decided I was going to rehab houses. So I nearly immediately found a house to buy, closed on it within the first couple months of being, self-employed, and started this project thinking like, I did all these other things in my life. There's no way I cannot handle this. Well, I could handle it. Here I sit today. I didn't die. However, the stress was incredible for me. Like I came up against myself in a way I never had before. It was just me on my own.
I got to interject here, Laura. So a couple of things. One, like as you're telling your story, it's like, man, if Laura writes a book on finances, it would be just work 7 days a week so you can't spend any of your money.
Right. Yeah, in a country where there's no stores that you can really get to, and I can't spend money when you're working and sleeping. So
building a savings, but so take me back to you're bored at the Q, and like you have more choices than real estate, right? Like why real estate? What about real estate pulled you?
It was just this instinctual type of pull. I guess it was just the thing that kept coming up in my mind the most. Like even for all the years leading up to that, before I was ever thinking about doing anything in real estate, I was just always obsessed with like houses and floor plans and layouts and how people decorate and what people do with their home and how they make it their home. And I like, not as a creeper way, but like if I was ever the passenger in the car at night, for example, I would just be looking out the window, trying to see in windows of houses as I drove by, because, it would be lit up in the house, just to try to see what they're doing in there. Like, ooh, what kind of layout is it, I wonder, or, how is it painted? Like, I was just always into that kind of stuff. And so that's why I thought I'd be a really great, retail rehabber. So, yeah. However, it's more than looking in a window and looking at cabinets and paint. It's foundation issues, it's roofs, it's where is that leak coming from, and all these other things that I had no knowledge or skill with. So it's more than that.
When you decided real estate and that instinctual pull, the rehabs, what you gravitated towards, was that because you thought that was going to supplement the income that you were getting before? Did you think that was going to give you that action that you were missing from Afghanistan? What specifically was it about rehabs that you wanted to pursue in real estate?
Yeah, so I knew that if I got into real estate, no matter what, I'd be up and moving around throughout the day. I would be in my car, I'd be going from place to place. Or even if I was only working on one project, like that project would end and I would move to another project. So I just felt like my life would be more up and moving, right? Which is what I was looking for. I watched HGTV. How can you not get rich doing this? That was like a no-brainer. And I joke, it's like, people give HGTV such a hard time. Like, I agree, it shouldn't be your only business plan, but like it will really motivate a lot of people and a lot of talented people to get into the business. So, I mean, I don't think it's such a bad thing. I will say just don't count on it for your realistic picture as a full realistic picture, but it's a great motivator. I could have watched that stuff all day, and I just really wanted to just go and try to do it on my own. So that's where my head was at in 2014 when I started all of this.
Okay, so walk us through like that first rehab. So you got it, and then you said the stress was incredible. Let's pick that.
Yeah, and
wait, I want to add. You said that was more stressful than being in Afghanistan.
Well, yeah, no, it was at least as stressful. I don't know about more. It's too hard to compare.
Right.
But, I mean, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting because, okay, like who I am now, how I show up in my life now is completely different. Just, I'm a totally different person. Like even talking about 7 years ago just feels like it's almost like fraudulent. Like it has nothing to do with me now, but it was my journey. So, but what I'm getting at is, okay, so today, if I went back to Afghanistan, I think that some of those same stresses I felt back then would still be applicable to myself as I am today. However, if I went back and tried to have a house today, I think I would handle it with ease. It's not really where my passion is right now. And there's undoubtedly probably some old energy that I would need to work through, but I just can't see myself not succeeding in that now. But back then it took me by surprise. Yeah. And again, like it's hard to even put words to it, but I just thought it would be easier than it was. I thought I would be able to depend on certain people. I hired people that I had personal relationships with. So I figured there's no way they were going to do me wrong. And I don't like to call people right or wrong, but let's just say it didn't work out. I think I basically broke even on that project. I may have made 1,000. I may have lost 1,000. By the time it was over, I was not counting down to the dollar because I was just happy to be out of it. And it always goes back to, the education that I've received from that is worth more than, maybe the $1,000 I lost or the $1,000 I gained, whatever it would have been. It was just such a process of learning and growth. And what it really did, I think, too, is it led me to where I am today, which is it got me looking at other things I could do in real estate investing, which actually lean more toward my personality. Because today I do not do rehabs. I spend the majority of my time in like the land of wholesaling, which I never saw myself doing that in 2014 when I was learning what wholesaling was. I thought it was almost a dirty word to me back then. And now I just like look at it as like a wonderful opportunity to provide service and value and even spread love. And I just enjoy that. I enjoy that part of the business a lot. So that's where I'm at today.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as like if I can just make an observation and what Laura just shared there, guys, like I see so many people have similar stories and that like, there's all this fear, there's this buildup on, the first deal. And am I going to, and like, it's a psychological problem more so than like a logical problem. Right. And
yeah,
then you go out and you do it and win, lose or draw. Everyone says I learned so much. It doesn't really even matter the result is because of the process and going through and getting into action mode. And we have actually, no, I think it's just a colleague that I know. I don't think Ryan knows them, but they told me they have a coaching program and they have one of their students confessed to him that, hey, I've been working on this for 5 years. I've spent over $100,000 in education and I have not ever called and talk to one homeowner.
Wow. Sure. That's quite a thing to admit. And that's why we can all use coaches. That's fantastic. Now that they're in the place where they can have that conversation, now they can move on from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, now that he admitted it, it was like this hidden thing that his wife was thinking he's doing all this work and he's always at the computer tinkering around, and like he hadn't talked to one person, hadn't done one deal, done one rehab, right?
Yeah.
I was in that loop too. I mean, it took me like over a year of studying this, trying to figure out, okay, like how do I start talking to people too? But like you really don't understand something, you really don't know something until you get in the game and start doing it. And
It's true. Yeah. Even after I started looking at wholesaling as a new opportunity for me, I mean, I was half-ass wholesaling for a few years. I mean, genuinely. And I mean, the thing is, not only was it, can I say half-ass? Half-ass was like holding me back, but what I really know now is how much I wasn't able to help other people, right? Like once I went full in and committed, the amount of value that I could see that I saw myself bringing to other people as well as myself, that's when my eyes really opened and I thought, oh, wow. And so like, go ahead.
all right, describe more in depth. What does half-ass wholesaling mean to you?
Yeah. So to me, it was like, maybe going on appointments or having conversations with sellers, but thinking, oh, they won't accept my offer. I'm not going to make it. Okay. So like to me, one of like the cardinal sins of trying to get a wholesaling business off the ground is not making offers all the time or consistently or whatever that means to you. So I don't know. This is my style. My style is if I'm going to take the time to go look at a property, that property being an offer. And I don't care if I think they're going to accept it or not, right? I send that offer over with what it is, my explanation for it, and complete freedom for that person to choose whether to accept it or not. And so it's like the energy in which I send the offer over. It's just an option for them to consider. And if it's a fit, like, let's go. And if it's not, that's totally okay. Like, thank you so much for the opportunity to even talk to you and meet you and look at your house and blah, blah, blah. I consider anything a win as long as we end up making friends with each other. And what I learned is not only do I just enjoy my day more when I'm interacting with people that way, I'm not worried about what I can get, I'm worried about what I can offer. Not only does my day just feel more enjoyable, but what happens is 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later, those people still like me. And if they're in a situation where they still need, maybe my offer is more appealing and, at a later date, guess who they're going to call? They're going to call the girl that didn't pressure them and who was nice and who was understanding and friendly, but also straightforward and honest. So that to me is not half-assed wholesaling. It's putting yourself out there, making offers, meeting people, being your authentic self, not saying something because it sounds like the right thing to say, but because it's your truth. That may be admitting you don't know something or don't have the answer to something, or that you're not confident in something.
So
Yeah.
Laura, and you do, I mean, just so you guys, if you guys don't know Laura, she does a fantastic deal flow here, kind of in the St. Louis metropolitan area, which is Missouri and Illinois. So she's very talented individual. One of the ways that I personally, and I'm interested in how you got over it, if you can give us more details. Personally, to me, what has really helped me out is an expectations thing. And if you set the expectation, even on the introductory phone call, hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get you an offer. Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to accept it? Okay. And they say, oh, no, yeah, we're good to go. And then you go out on the appointment. And then one of the first things you can tell them is hey, we're going to walk the property. And at the end of it, I'm going to make an offer. And you know what? If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. No big deal either way, And so like, that's like kind of like my style, but to me, it's the setting of the expectation up front. So then everybody knows what to expect. And that kind of makes it a little bit less stressful that, like then you're presenting this offer in person and, like, okay, are we going to negotiate or whatnot? And I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but that was a difficult thing for me to deal with. So how have you got over that? Like, what specifically do you do about your approach?
Yeah. Okay. So great question. And there's just so many like things that come to mind as I listen to you. But so number one, it is super important for each individual to figure out what their own style is. And for me, the best way to do that is to just go on massive amounts of appointments. Now, I realize that may not be how you want your wholesaling business to end up. You don't want to end up taking every appointment for every opportunity. But if you're in the stage where you're nervous to talk to people or nervous to make offers, I would say just literally do it as often as possible. so that you can find your groove, you can find your style, you can find what wording reflects your authentic self and also gets your message across properly. So I'll start with that. So Jim, it sounds like for you, like you like to set up with expectations. You want to make sure that, the seller, the owner, whoever it is that you're meeting knows that you're going in to, no kidding, try to buy that house. That way you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting their time, maybe throughout that conversation, more motivation comes to surface, like, oh, well, I'm just curious, I don't know if I'm ready to sell, you may not want to go out there at that point, which is understandable. My approach is, I don't, making me think about it, and I don't really know what I do. I don't think I would, I just feel like I can hear people. I can hear, and I have so much experience talking to people now. I can just hear whether or not they're motivated. I feel like they're calling into me at this point, or I'm following up with them from past communication. So if they're calling into me and they want me to look and make an offer, basically, why would they be calling me if they don't want an offer? I mean, my marketing's out there, whatever. They know what I'm there to do. So maybe I should actually get more clear on that. That's a great question. Maybe I should get more clear on setting expectations. But so much of my wholesaling business comes from what I call my sphere of influence. So people who are really in the investing world and they know what I do. So yeah, when they call me, they're expecting me to put something together, make an offer for them, or it comes from long-term follow-up. So again, these would have been people I talked to in the past, and they know all about what I'm ready to do. So I have some cold leads that come in and turn into deals, but that's not how my business has been working the past couple of years. So I just do less of that. But for those who are doing that, it's just a really, really poignant thing that you said. Make sure that whatever the goal is that you have is, that goal to make an offer, hopefully is what it is being communicated to the seller. That way, you find out if they're ready or not to actually work with you.
Well, let's have you do some critical thinking here, and maybe some introspective thinking. So you're doing probably more than what you think, because you've said numerous times you feel their energy, you have the right mindset now, you're putting yourself out there, you're being authentic. At the end of the day, you consider a win when we can leave as friends, regardless of whether they accept or not. So what Jim said was, he sets the expectation of, hey, I'm okay if you accept this offer or not. You clearly set expectations, because if you're leaving there as friends, you're setting some kind of expectation. So let's dive into that a little bit more. What do you do to set that expectation? I'm going to leave as friends.
Yeah, I actually use those exact words. Lots of times when I am on the phone, I say, let me come and take a look at that property. I'll let you know, what I think I can do. Whether you take it or not, we part as friends. That's the way I put it. And they love that. People love that. They're so not threatened by that, and it's just me being my authentic self.
But you are setting an expectation.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I am like, there's some core commitments I have in my life that I hold in my business. One of my most core commitments is that I only want to do business with people who want to do business with me. Like, there's just no forcing it. I don't want that. Like now, once we have contracts on the table, like, we need to honor these contracts, but like, I'm not pushing, I'm not pressuring. I just kindly follow up as a friend. That's the way I take things down the court when we don't have an agreement in place. So whether I'm talking with a buyer or a seller or anybody about anything, I'm doing a little bit of mentorship now, and I'm talking to a potential mentee. It's like, hey, does this feel like a good fit for you? You're not going to hurt my feelings. I go drum up business anywhere. So I'm very interested I'm looking for the people who are looking for me. Oh, I say that on the phone to sellers sometimes too. That resonates. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny how we call them sales bits. It's like if you find yourself saying some of the same things over and over again, it's kind of like your own, and it's a little different than a script, because it's like your own personalized, that you said hundreds and hundreds of times. So when you go into when you knock on the door and you intro the appointment, what's something that you say on the when you're whether you're meeting with a wholesaler or a seller, what do you how do you start out the appointment?
Yeah, I feel like the classic starter question that will it's just the most widest, openest doorway is, what can you tell me about this house and your situation with this house? So some people are going to start telling me about every little nook and cranny, and this drawer pulls out this way, and you'll see that dot up there where water got in 12 and a half years ago, and I listen. And then some people say, I grew up here, my parents died, or my mom died and my dad's in a home and I can't, emotionally, this is too hard to take care of. They tell you their version of their story. And with that, I can begin to understand how best to help that person. What are they looking for? Some people use the word pain point. I don't really love the word pain, but you're looking for, you're just looking for that message that they're giving you. Some people are able to give it more directly than others. So sometimes you have to listen to what they're really saying. I oftentimes find people too who are just only talking about the house. They're not talking about anything in their personal life. So again, that may just be that it is only about the house and there is nothing more. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, that's the case. So then I just ask a few just non-threatening personal questions. One of my favorites is, how come you don't put it on the market with a real estate agent? That would probably get you the most dollars in your pocket if I had to guess. Why isn't that an option for you? And that usually takes it off of the actual structure. And then they start talking a little bit more about their mindset. So those are some of the ways that I start to sort of get to the heart of what's going on around that property. Because it's not usually about the house. It's about the life that person is living, how that house plays into that.
I love that. It's great. That's fantastic. So then you said a lot of your stuff's B2B, more working with other wholesalers.
Lately, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So kind of take me into some of the strategies that you use there to be as successful as you are.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know, I guess, so I do a lot of networking. I go to less now than I used to, but it's been 7 years of me popping into all these networking events, and I get to know people, they get to know me. People call me up, and several years ago I just started helping one particular investor, with a few properties that he just wanted gone and stuff. And I thought, I didn't realize this was really an option. I thought I had to be talking to distressed, Joe and Jane Seller and stuff. So so I just, I'm a believer in just talking about your business, right? So when that was working, I just started talking about how that part of my business works. And then I learned that as I'm networking with other real estate investors, particularly, buy and hold, like portfolio type investors, one of the questions we get them thinking about maybe working with me is, hey, don't you have that like 1 or 2, properties that is like a thorn in your side? Is there any property? I have buyers who are looking, for investments. Is there anything that you just can't even deal with right now, that you consider selling? So questions like that get people's wheels turning in a certain way. And, they just end up calling me. So I just started making that I don't even know if it was the primary message of my business, but it was like a main message, and it really took on a life of its own. So that's sort of my strategy on unearthing those things. And also I just get so much repeat business with these people. Once I, and again, they're successful, they're not in any problems or trouble or anything. They just have a house here or a house there or a purchase there that's not working out, and they get wound up energetically too, right? So why not get that off their plate? Let me handle this deal. Let me try to move this for you. They understand I'm a wholesaler and what I'm doing. You focus on what's working in your business. I'll handle what's not. And then what happens is, I get rid of the worst, and then maybe they call me up, and 6 months later about, the next worst or whatever. And they're able to sort of focus on what brings them joy. They don't have to focus on getting rid of that thorn in their side. So that's been interesting. And what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, I just do a lot of deals with sellers, more than one. And then I just have, like we all should, these buyers that I trust. I've got buyers that buy creatively, that I trust them to execute on the creative deals that I get over to them. So subject to deals, or seller finance deals. I don't want those to go to just any old buyer that I don't know, that doesn't have a track record with me. I want those to go to people that I know will, again, execute on what they say they're going to do. So, I've got a good 3 or 4 of those, and I like to put creative things together, and, the confidence that I'm working with good people. So those are some of my strategies.
So real quick, you mentioned that you like to talk about your business. You mentioned that you ask other investors the question about, hey, do you have a property? For someone who might have, what would help someone is specifically, how did you set that up? So it's not, when you say talking about the business, clearly you were asking some right questions, but one of the things that we've heard a lot with our coaching recently is get people where you want them to be. Don't just try to force something down, which I'm sure you don't do. So when you're talking about your business, how are you doing that to engage some kind of interest outside of the questions that you're asking them?
Okay, I'm trying to understand this question better.
So how are you presenting your helping others? Are you telling them stories? What specifically get them interested so that you can ask those questions? Because straight out, hey, I've been doing a lot of deals. Do you have anything that you're interested in selling?
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Maybe that works for you. I don't know. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Hey guys, for those of you that are local to St. Louis, I wanted to make sure you knew about an amazing resource that we have to help do some extra deals. You can email our team at deals@3doors.com. And just so you know, we do deals with other investors all the time. Like, it's been hundreds and hundreds over the years, and we've averaged over 100 deals with other investors per year for over the last 5 years. We can straight up buy the deal if you have a wholesale under contract that you want to sell. If you need funding to finance a flip, or like you're doing a burst strategy, we have funding available for you. If you're trying to wholesale a deal, we're doing JV wholesale deals with other wholesalers that, quite frankly, some of the deals we're putting together for a beginner or an intermediate investor, they'd probably be walking away from because we have systems and processes, and we have buyers in place that are paying top dollar for these properties. So make sure you use this resource. And the best way to get and the easiest way is to just send us an email, deals@3doors.com. All right, back to the episode.
So how are you presenting your helping others? Are you telling them stories? What specifically get them interested so that you can ask those questions? Because straight out, hey, I've been doing a lot of deals. Do you have anything that you're interested in selling?
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Maybe that works for you. I don't know. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, no. So I think, that does work sometimes. Just simply saying, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'd love to talk to you about your situation. There are people that will just call straight up off that. And generally they're more motivated, right? But then also, it definitely works. I love to, although I don't think I'm good at this, but I can see that it works. I love to say, just last week I closed one and it looked like this and it was creative. Basically, if you can paint a picture to the people that you're talking to, then they can see possibility on how they can fit into that picture. So that's super important. And once, you start to do more deals and more deals and more deals, don't be mistaken. It's not bragging. I don't say any of this to brag. By far, am I not even close to the most successful? It's not bragging. It's just like, hey, this is literally what I do all day. Hey, I really get lit up about this deal I closed last week. I helped this guy with his second house, and the first buyer, was closed in a week and a half, and whatever it is, I just listen. I try to always respond with something in my experience that would relate to what they're talking to me about, and that I think could paint a picture for them. But again, if you don't have that, if you don't have experience backing you up, if you haven't closed 20 deals this year, that's okay too. Just show up as who you are. Just show up as, hey, I'm super eager. I cannot wait to get my first deal done, my third deal done, whatever it is. I'm willing to look at any property anytime and see if there's a way I can make this work for everybody. I've got strong partnerships. I know those guys at 3 Doors. They love me to bring them a good deal. How can I help you, seller? So just make it fit for where you're at in your business at that time. That's my advice.
Yeah, no. And I appreciate that. So you had mentioned earlier, and I know this is kind of going a little bit back, but I'm intrigued by it. So can you name one of your core commitments? What are your core commitments? And how do you live by them?
Yeah, I don't have a real list, and they change for the better all the time, which is nice too. Like, I just love honesty and transparency. So the name of my business is Clear Solutions Real Estate. I came up with that in 2014. Like, that's what I wanted to represent. So, in business, we don't necessarily need to show all of our cards. I'm not at all, saying that you should just, give everyone every detail about, your strategy. But at the same time, like, how can we communicate our intention and our solution as best as possible to the people that we're working with? How can we make sure everyone knows, the information that they should know to make the best decision for themselves? So, that's one of my core commitments. I also, again, I'm just going to say it again, like, in my personal life, like, I'm just committed to not changing anyone but myself. We all have relationships, whether they're family or personal, where, maybe we wish that someone we love would be a little bit different. What I've really been coming into this year, especially, and it's just so empowering, is this idea of I'm just committed to not trying to change anyone in my life. I want them to show up as exactly who they are and love them unconditionally. And so that should also spill over into my business, and it does, right? So in business, things don't always go right. It's not always sunshine and roses, but I'm not committed to forcing things in a way to where, I don't know how to put it. Sometimes I'm bad with explaining these things, but basically, if I'm working with somebody and it's not working out, I just don't have to work with them again. It doesn't mean that they're not good people. It doesn't mean that they're not doing what's best for them. I just let it be about me and my own internal evolution and learning. So I'm just committed to that. That's the energy I bring to my relationships, inside and outside of my business. And I'd say those are the two core commitments that I think about every day. There's probably other things that I'm missing. But yeah, that's what I put first. And when you're putting these things first and you're being authentic as often as possible, our egos do still get in the way sometimes. Sometimes we're not being as authentic as we can. But if your level of self-awareness is high, that you're doing that most of the time, I promise you the things that you want financially will flow into your experience. And yeah, that's my experience so far.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, you kind of remind me of the video we were just talking about, locus of control, right?
Yeah, locus of control.
So what's fascinating about it, and it's on YouTube, I think if you type in locus of control, it's on there. But in the video, like, kind of there's the theory in it is that not everyone's motivated. And if you're saying, well, I have a lack of, I'm just not motivated. I'm not going to buy this first house, or I'm just not going to do that. And what it says is that when you take full ownership of your world and your universe, instead of pointing the finger and blaming, like, oh, I can't do my first deal because I don't have enough money, or I wasn't born into the right family that has money, or I don't have the right friends, or, it's something else that's outside of my control, then the lack of motivation happens. And then, when you get to that first problem, well, then you give up, right?
Right.
So what's incredibly powerful about Laura, about your mindset, just to give you as big of a compliment as I can give anyone, right? Like, because I'm really impressed by this, that you're focused on not changing anyone but yourself, loving unconditionally other people, and really, like, you're committed to yourself, and like you're like and being in control of your own universe. Like when you do that, guys, there's not anything that can stop you. There's not any problem you can't face. There's not any deals that you can't do. Like, you are in complete control. If you want to make $1 million this year, if you want to make 100,000 or whatever, it's taking ownership and it's on you. So Laura, like,
My goodness, this was the longest compliment ever. I'm rambling.
Well, thank you. And like what I love about this compliment, like obviously makes me feel very good, but like these are the conversations that like I just want to have all day long with everybody. That's why I said at the beginning, if I veer out of real estate and you need me to get back in, like let me know. But this is where freedom is for me, you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like through living life this way, I just feel so free and powerful. When I just surrender powerfully to what's happening externally and allow it to be and accept it and love it unconditionally, then I have all of this amazing energy and insight and power within myself to go out and do what I want to do. So back to when I was doing my first rehab, like I wasn't even living on that planet. I wasn't even in that solar system, you know what I'm saying? And I was constantly pointing my contractors not showing up and doing work the way we talked about. The person that sold me this house didn't tell me about this problem that I'm now faced. Like, and I was just stuck. Not only did I not make good money on that project, like I was not happy. You know, I was trying to be happy in this new career, but it wasn't working out that way. I'm so grateful to real estate because it put me on a path of personal development. And in fact, one of the questions is, what challenges and obstacles have I had? It's hard to even come up with a list anymore because I don't look at them that way. I look at them as true gifts, as like true gifts of a lifetime. All the challenges and obstacles I've faced in real estate have brought me to the place that I am now. And not only do I act this way in my business, but I act this way in my personal life. Like I just want to show up as love and light and see what I can do to have fun and help people at the same time. So thank you for the compliment. I think this is the most exciting subject there is, whether we're talking about real estate or stocks or, you know, education and teaching, no matter what your lot in life is and what you're working on, like this is what it's all about.
Yeah, it's funny. The biggest win to me is not the money, and the money's great. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's about who you become in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your success is clear because you've everything we've just talked about. You're putting people first, and putting people first means that you're always going to have their interest in mind. You're being, you know, you said you weren't exactly 100% clear on how you were describing it, making sure you work with people who you know, like, and trust, but I would disagree. I think you're pretty clear. You're clear solutions, honesty, and so no, it's awesome. And again, you're putting people first, which we shouldn't discount that. That to me, that above all else means someone's going to have success in this business when you put someone else first. Yes, you're committed to your own core commitments, but you're also not. We call you don't have commission breath. You're not there to make a deal. You are there to make a friend and to serve them in whatever they need, right?
Yeah, I mean, whatever they need that I can help them with, you know. I can't solve every problem. Although I think, you know, my goal is to put other people first. Like I'm not cutting myself out. You know, I bring value, and one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn is how to know my value, know my worth, not allow myself to be stepped on, which again, that's sort of a finger pointing statement. I don't really think that way much anymore, but I do still have to show up every day with an awareness of, you know, I'm not in business to be a charity. So I don't want people like, as we talk about this, I do want to make sure that distinction is also being made because we all deserve abundance if that's what we want. You know what I mean? Financial abundance. Like we can have that and serve. That's the key, you know, that I think, you know, sometimes people think you're either serving and you have to forego abundance, or if you have a less, in particularly financial abundance, you cannot serve in the same way. I just say we can absolutely do both. We should do both. Let's go do both. And let's work with the people who know that we can do both.
Absolutely. That's awesome. For anyone who wants to know, and for you as well, the actual name of that video is How to Stay Motivated, the Locust Rule.
Awesome.
How to Stay Motivated - the Locust Rule.
I'm writing it down. Yeah. Hey, you know, the word motivated is an interesting word to me. And I don't know what your guys' take on this is, but sometimes I think the words staying motivated is sort of a little bit false and wobbly. I heard someone say, you know, don't try to become motivated, but instead transform. yourself. So I don't know. I'm going to watch this video. I'm very curious about it. But what do you guys think about motivation versus transformation and how that plays out in the business?
Well, it's very interesting. I think we're going to both have a different perspective on this. What do you think, Jim?
Oh, I would like to learn your perspective first, Ryan. Go for it.
That's fair. So I've always been a motivated person. I would describe myself as a very driven person. So I think drive and motivation kind of go hand in hand. And it's interesting because I understand, I think, where you're coming from, and that motivation could be a negative thing, especially when you have like a sense of awareness, as we've been talking about, and as you have. And in sports, motivation is a driver. And so growing up as an athlete, that was always my driver is, how can I improve in sports? How can I, level up and be better? So motivation to me is what does help drive me on a day-to-day basis. So I don't view it as a negative thing. I view it as my driving force. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I was taking it out of context, which you thought that maybe motivation could be thought of as negatively. Is that what you were?
And I won't even say negative, but sometimes it's fleeting. I feel like, to me, that word is, motivation might be there one day, it might not be there the next.
Yeah. So, all right. So let me kind of chime into this. I think I know where Laura's getting at. So, like the foundational piece is realizing that you are in control of your destiny. We live in the best country in the world, despite what the news will tell you, where we have unlimited opportunity. It's just, and we're in control of what we achieve or what we don't. And if you don't believe that you can control your own destiny, if you're going to point the finger and blame other people for where you're at in your life, I'll show you a non-motivated person at that point. You will have no motivation because you don't believe that it's worth to get up off your butt and go do something, right? So, and then the second component of it is to me, it's the why. Like, why am I doing this? And my why in my life has changed. And this is a very fleeting thing, right? Like when I was younger, it was sports, it was winning. Okay. And just kind of growing into that. And Ryan and I had an amazing high school coach, Coach Nicole Roth, that really helped us kind of translate that into even personal development and, how do you become the best version of yourself? And so then, like, as I learned those principles through sports, I started applying them to other things. And then I got into real estate because I wanted to do something that actually meant something, not to be stuck at a cubicle like I was after college and just bored out of my mind. And not, it didn't matter how good of a job or bad of a job I did. And my manager didn't even notice and they didn't care. Right. So I thought, okay, real estate, I can make a lot of money. And if I rehab a house, I made that little piece of the world better. Mm-hmm. So that became my why. And then ran into some issues. The company started out doing okay. And then we started limping along. And then the why became, I was going to marry Kelly, my wife. So I had to figure this whole thing out. And I was going to marry Kelly, and I wasn't going to be the guy that had to admit to my friends that the real estate thing didn't work out when we were bad deals, So I had a burning hot why then. And then all of a sudden become successful. Money's coming in. Well, I'm not Indiana Jones with the ball rolling after me in the temple, right? So then I have to reinvent myself again and reinvent my why and like why I'm doing things. And now what's interesting is like it's the why is becoming more of like a significance and a contribution. Because like Ryan and I, like we currently could have a job that pays us enough to cover our monthly. We've already bought enough real estate. Like we already own enough real estate right now to never buy another piece in our lives. And so now the why has become, how do I help give the gift of real estate and the blessing of real estate and what it's been for my family, and give that to other people and help them along the way and help them help them grow and help them receive some of the amazing moments, amazing, beautiful transformations that I personally have had. How can they have that too? So then so you're absolutely right though, is the whys and like the motivation, you do have to constantly be soul seeking and being connected with what your purpose is.
Yeah, that's just so great. And I mean, I think that like your guys' two different answers that just show that like this is such a personal thing for every person. So, if you're out there listening and just like your current motivation or your current why doesn't really match up to any of us, like, cool. Like just gain the self-awareness every step of the way and just do anything you can to love yourself and accept yourself and meet yourself where you're at. And then allow yourself to change and evolve. That's what's so exciting. And if right now, your motivation doesn't really have to do with anybody but yourself, like, I just want to be the person to tell you, like, that is okay. Like, go get it. Go get what's yours. Go get what you want. Please don't hurt anyone in the process. And like, that's totally cool too. And I guarantee you, when you like take ownership of whatever your path is and it's true to you in that time, for nothing but the betterment of it. This is so cool. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Ryan.
No, you froze for just a minute. I don't know if it was us or you. So we missed that last like 10 seconds. Do you know what you said? You can repeat it?
Well, what's the last thing you may have heard?
Oh, shoot. I don't quite recall.
It's okay. If you're the person that maybe you're not thinking about saving the world and you just want to save yourself and get out of credit card debt, love where you're at and go do it. You don't have to have some bigger mission right now that maybe like Jim and Ryan have. They're on a serving mission to help as many other people as possible. But if you're in a state where you're sort of narrowed in on yourself, like, love where you're at and go make it happen. And then everything will grow and evolve from there.
And it's an evolution. It's absolutely an evolution. Like, we didn't start out here either, right? Like, we started out focusing on ourselves and how do we make money and how do we do some good things for some clients. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, just put it out there to the universe. It's 250 people who become financially free. So Laura, you should, and we'd love you to be one of those. So
okay, I love it. I love it too. Okay, sounds good.
I do want. We're talking about a really awesome topic, and while we've gotten some of your insight, what would you say is the number one thing that has allowed you to be so introspective and understand yourself, so that people who are listening can understand how to get where you're at? Because it's not always the easiest thing to take a step back and look at who we are and how we want to move forward.
Ryan, it was immense psychological and emotional pain. Just to be honest, I've been in dark places many times, and they kept coming up in different ways, and I was getting tired of it. So I just said to myself, like, there are happy, successful people out there, and I'm not one of them. I want to figure out what they know. So I started listening to people that I thought fit that picture, that character. I would ask them questions. I would listen to what they read, watch, etc. And then I would read or watch those things. And I just kept doing it and kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. And over time, I started to learn like that. I just started to learn to look at the world life in a whole new way. And I learned to love myself, which was just an impossible dream. It wasn't even possible. Wasn't even on my radar just a few years ago. So anyway, but I mean, look, it all transfers into my business, which is why I talk about it on a podcast like this. I work with Mike Kitco, who's a very well-known executive coach here in the area. Yeah. And one of his sayings is when the business owner grows, the business grows itself. And every time I've taken, the time to work on myself and my own presence and how I show up in the world for myself and for others, my business has grown. And I'm not even doing that for the money. Like, I'm doing it because my life is so much better. And I'm committed to doing personal development work for the rest of my life without exception. That is my commitment. And I just know that it's going to benefit my business and those I interact with. I don't really care what that looks like or how that shows up. I just know it's happened so far and it's going to continue to happen. So that's why it's such a big part of my message.
So if we could just dive in for context, going through this, was this a journey within real estate? This has been during your time in real estate that you've taken this self-reflection?
Yeah, I'd say the vast majority of any personal growth has happened since I started in this business. Yep.
Did your previous experience being in military, you feel like that helped you in any way, shape or form?
It must have. I don't.
I know
feel like that's
it's a different
whole,
life.
it's a whole, like, I don't walk around like military rah-rah. Like, I don't know. I could say some very controversial things. I don't have a side or an opinion to take. But some of the things I could say about a military type of mindset or life could be very controversial. Like, I just don't resonate with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I just have respect for everyone who's doing what is near and dear to their heart. So if that's something that's near and dear to your heart, I respect that. There's no doubt. I mean, I just got it was just a challenging time. And like I said earlier, like my challenges have been my greatest gifts. So if nothing else, it taught me what I do want. And I didn't want that lifestyle. So it helped me get clarity for sure.
And honestly, like Laura, like I mean, there's been a lot of takeaways here. And the biggest thing that I want people, one of the biggest things, you trying to corner me into like committing to anything, it can be difficult. But, one of the biggest challenges or one of the biggest takeaways is what you just said. The challenges have been the greatest gifts. I cannot tell you guys the amount of people I know that have been doing this a decade plus that all tell you the same thing. The most difficult part of my life was in my real estate journey that I've had up year to date or in my lifetime. And it transformed me in ways and was the most beautiful blessing in hindsight that I've ever had. So like, and we start out and we get so afraid and, we let fear control us and grip us. And if you either win or you learn a lesson, guys. And any sort of challenge you get to, like, it's fine. Just it's a blessing. So
yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have something to say about all this too that's come up to me recently.
Please go for it. Yeah.
So I was expressing sort of some of this stuff in a mastermind call, and Brian Schroeder happens to be a member of that mastermind. And for those who don't know, he's just like a St. Louis area real estate master, right? Like he just runs an amazing business here in this market. But in any case, so I'm explaining on this call, like I get so excited when something crappy's coming down the path right at me. I can handle it. I can do it. I get so excited. I was just basically talking about how I've just transcended this idea of like a negative experience. Brian's like, hey, Laura. He's like, what if something amazing was coming down the path? How would you feel about that? And I was like, wow, I should start looking for that stuff instead. But so that's been something that's really been resonating with me as I'm growing. Like I haven't even begun to tap my potential in my business. And that is like what I'm newly becoming committed to, is seeing where I can actually take this. I've really switched up a lot this year about who I'm interacting with and what my plans are for next year. And, I see this old pattern in myself of loving these challenges so much that I'm not even sure if I'm present to all of the possibility that's out there. So that's kind of something I'm trying to be more mindful of as well. So it's just been so interesting. And I just love that Brian's the one that said, what if something really good happened? How would you feel then? Really, really good. There's been a lot of good things that have happened, but I'm looking for like 3 doors good or faster house good. So, yeah. So
well, I don't care who you are. There's always challenges you face. So, the grass is not always greener. I can assure you of that. And, so I just want to know, just because it's 3 doors, hey, we've got our problems and our stuff's not over. So, and one of the things that one of our mantras is, we never take a loss, like Jim said. It's never a mistake. It's, okay, something didn't go our way. And the only time anyone makes a mistake, in our opinion, is if you don't learn something from that, right? So you can mess up, things can happen. But if we don't take a step forward, then yes, we've made a mistake because we didn't look back and say, okay, how could I have done this differently? Or what am I going to do differently moving forward so that this doesn't happen again? So you're doing that by taking the challenges. And I would agree with you that with Brian and you, maybe you should think about how awesome it is, the things that you're doing well too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, one of the great military leaders I worked for, I was a civilian, and he was a colonel, but he would say, when you lose, just don't lose the lesson. And I that's been a little catchy thing I've always had since I heard him say that. And I think that's what you're saying, Ryan. So yeah, it's not truly a loss if you gained a lesson out of it.
100%.
So cliche, but there's a reason why people say these things over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
A lot of cliches have a lot of truth in them, don't they?
No doubt.
Yeah.
So I have one last question for you. If you had to give yourself one piece of like actionable advice, I guess it was 7 years ago,
2014.
like when you were just kind of getting rolling. I think you're able to talk to yourself. Like, what would be the most important actionable piece of advice that you could give yourself?
Yeah. Just don't be afraid. You just can't lose. You just can't. Fear was stopping me from taking action in my business. And I just think that's just common for everybody at some point. So I wouldn't tell myself to let go of the fear because that's unrealistic, but I would want myself to allow myself to feel the fear and take action anyway. And that would have propelled me and my business at a much faster pace, much sooner. Because that's what I do now. Even now, I get nervous. I was on a phone call yesterday. I was nervous, and I had the conversation through that. I wouldn't give up on that. There's no way. And if you can do that every day, number one, it happens way less when that you feel that way, you feel fear and nervousness. And number two, a lot of opportunities come up when you're outside of your comfort zone. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I don't really have a huge desire to do these things, but they help me grow.
Yeah, before we hit the record button, the person before it told us, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm really nervous."
So hold on though. I want to elaborate. You said, "Don't be afraid. You just can't lose." Great advice, and maybe elaborate on that a little bit more. How can someone without experience do that? What could they do? Give one actionable item for somebody who, hey, I've spent $100,000 on education, but I haven't called one seller.
Okay, yeah. So I wrote a few notes on this paper that I haven't followed, but like some of the real estate actionable advice that I wrote down. Talk to people. Just tell people what you're doing. Just make sure people know, and it doesn't cost anything. So if you don't have money, it works. You're not asking anybody of anything. If you're just explaining to people what you're doing or what you're striving to do, and you're educating people and you're making connections, right? So just all these things are happening at once. I would just say, talk to people. And if you're to the point in your business where you are talking to people about specific properties, quote unquote leads, make offers. If you want to grow a business that you can live off of the income of that business and you don't currently have deals going on, I would say you need to be making an offer every day. I don't know what it would take for you to get there, but get there. Soon enough, you won't need to do it because you'll have too many deals to work. So make an offer every day. And when I say make an offer, I'm talking about put something in writing, sign it, and give it to a seller. Okay? Like that's my advice. Take action, talk to people, make offers. Don't worry about your buyer's list. Get a good deal under contract. Your buyer's list will build itself from there.
Love it. Love it.
And also, I'll just add one last thing. Like, find partners that you trust and like. Okay, 3 Doors has amazing programs that are designed to help people in all stages of their business. Hopefully I'm not misrepresenting you guys. But look, they have a high level of integrity, right? You've heard Jim and Ryan talking about what matters to them in their business and how they're looking to help people. Like, if you're someone who feels like you're alone in the business, and you want a high quality partner, I'd suggest starting with 3 Doors as an example. There are just a lot of great people in this space. Find someone that you like and that you resonate with and resonates with you. And if, support you along the way, make your both compensated. Simple.
Well, thank you for saying that. We appreciate the compliment. In addition to that, I'm so glad you said find partners, because one of our mantras we were telling that all of our sales team is find the who, not the what. So much knowledge in this world. You don't need to know. You don't need to be an expert. Just find the who. Find the who.
Yeah, I mean, the right who solves any problem, right? Like, if you have $1 million business and you want to become a $100 million business, there's people that have already done that that could help you. That will probably know how to solve any problem that you'll encounter as you grow from 1 to 1 million, 100 million, right? So. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I mean, this has been fantastic. Laura, thanks for coming on. And I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. And I love the whole thing put together. I don't get on every time, but I get on almost every time. And you've had some wonderful people on here that are providing so much value. So thank you for even doing this at all. And, providing this space and this form of communication. It's so cool.
No, thank you for coming on. It was an awesome call.
Okay, so that's a wrap, guys. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/065. Don't forget, we have all these resources for you, right? Like, if you need to wholesale a house, we can either buy it and we can help you and we can help you put together a deal that you may think is dead right now, that you're just leaving money on the table with it. Okay. So make sure you reach out to us, and you can find out information on that on our website. If you need some cash to put together a deal, we lend out over $20 million here in St. Louis, and we got some cash that we can put to use and help you do some deals. Right. And then finally, if you're an agent looking to double or triple your business, we have strategies and tips on how we've become a top 10 team in Missouri that we can share with you. And also we can help you become financially free and help you finally figure out this whole investing thing that you've been, that you've possibly been wanting to kind of get more into. We have a tremendous amount of agents doing a lot of investment deals and doing a lot of agent deals at the same time. And we can kind of unlock this investing world for you, so to speak. So anyway, take us up on the offer. We're here to help you any way we can. All you have to do is just go to doorstodeals.com/065 and click on the links on the website, and we can help you with whatever your need is. So that's a wrap today, guys. So don't forget, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.